Right now, more than 120,000 people are waiting for life-saving organ transplants. The Indiana Organ Procurement Organization is a certified organization for organ, tissue, and eye recovery. It links people waiting for a transplant and potential donors. With us today to talk about that program and their personal stories are Dave, who works for IOPO, and Cindy Murphy, who volunteers with the organization. Thank you so much for being here this morning.
Thanks for having us this morning.
Now, you have quite a history with this organization, including personally. Take us through that history.
Unfortunately, we found out about donation like a lot of families do. It was through a sudden tragedy. We had a son-in-law that was severely injured in an auto accident back in August of 2001. Unfortunately, he did not make it, and he became an organ donor here at Parkview, here in Fort Wayne. So that's how we found out about it. And it turned out the next year, I was in need of an organ transplant. I received a liver transplant in August of 2002. So.
Wow. And is that when you decided to get involved with the organization,
yes,
or were you already involved?
Yes, one thing us recipients get to do is start all over again. So I decided to start all over again. I had my goal set that I wanted to try to help out these efforts and help other people. Went back to school, got a nursing degree, and been working with Indiana Organ Procurement since May of 2007. I've thoroughly enjoyed it.
There's such a need in this country. You see the heart on our driver's license, and you don't think really much more of it until, I'm sure, you're personally affected. Talk about why it's so important to become a donor.
It's so important. Again, like you said, a lot of people, yes, they register, but they don't really understand what that's going to mean. That gives people like myself at the time, these 120,000 people you talked about on the waiting list, a chance at living. That's their last chance. They've been through all kind of treatments and doctors, and the only chance they have to live actually is an organ transplant. At the same time, it gives the families themselves, if you register to be an organ donor, if something unfortunately would happen to you, your family knows at that time, yes, that was your hope, that was your wish, that you wish to be a donor, and it makes their decision so much easier.
I see these beautiful shawls that you have. Wow. Talk about this. It's called the Threads of Compassion Shawl Program. What do these symbolize?
We actually, a small group of IOPO employees and a donor family, we traveled to Madison, Wisconsin in 2010 and for the National Transplant Games, and we discovered they were doing this up there, and we kind of borrowed the idea, brought it back here to Indiana. And what is to do is, at the time of donation, of course, families are going through a lot of grief, a lot of uncertainty, and this is a symbol of some type of comfort at the time, so they can wrap themselves in it, hopefully give them some comfort, a small token anyway from us. And later on, you want to explain what later on as time goes by?
Yeah, when we were in Madison, their organization had made shawls, and they gave them to all the donor families that were there during the transplant games. And even though we weren't part of that, they knew we were a donor family, and they gave us one too, and this is the one we got.
Those are just
while
beautiful.
we were in Madison.
And it's given us, over time, it gives us remembrance of our son-in-law, and that's what we also want to do here in Indiana with our donor families.
And now you're actually looking for volunteers to help make these shawls. Cindy, do you have to be an expert knitter, or can anyone get involved?
No, you don't have to be an expert. In fact, my grandmother had taught me to crochet, and it had been years since I had done any of it, and I just picked it up. I went online and got some tips, and IOPO has a paper of a guideline of what size they like. So I just picked it up and started doing it. I've made 3, and I'm on my 4th one now.
Very nice. So how do we get involved? How do we become a crocheter or volunteer with the organization just in general?
We have a website, www.iopo.org. And on there has the instructions of how to get involved, the contacts. We've had a network of volunteers across the state who have been starting helping us. We want this to be a constant program, a sustainable program, so we're trying to reach a certain level before we actually give these to our donor families. So we're needing more help, but we've had some good groups. The Covenant United Methodist Church, for instance, here in Fort Wayne, has a ladies group that has helped us out immensely with this. So if you've got the skill and the sense of wanting to help people, please go to our website.
There's a great need there. Thank you so much for being here this morning.
Thank you.
I'm so sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
That information again on the screen, the website IOPO.org. We'll be right back.